Hi, my name is Rahul Kanoja. I am a game developer out of Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm currently out and about, just getting a lay of the land. It's a beautiful night, but I thought I'd take some time to give you guys this message and explain to you why I think Matthew Sherman is entirely worth it, and why I have cultivated this friendship with him. So I found him in, I want to say, mid 2017. After about a year of me kind of getting out there, shortly after college, it's quarter life, right? You're out there, you're trying to get things done, and you start finding and encountering obstacles, and it's kind of like in the movie, Rocky, where Sylvester Stallone, basically gives that speech to his son and saying, "Hey, life's going to beat the crap out of you if you let it." But that's the caveat there, is it's up to you if you let it, right? And so in an attempt to gain some sort of control, I started researching myself. And I asked myself, okay, everyone else seems to get it down, right? Like I look around into the world, I look, out there to the skyline, everything behind me, all these people, and everyone else seems to kind of have their shit together. So I asked myself, why don't I have my own shit together, right? And then that's what got me into cognitive psychology, in an effort to find out, well, is there something wrong with me? And turns out there's nothing actually wrong with me, right? I mean, a clinical psychologist might disagree, right? But that's neither here nor there. We're all just different. We're all just different. We handle things entirely differently, and that's where cognitive psychology comes in. And through my time, through my research, I still everything was very academic. Everything was like, the cognitive functions, getting into the Myers-Briggs work, getting into kind of neuroscience, right? So it was incredibly academic, and admittedly, most will care to admit, if you're being honest with yourselves, a bit dry. And that's where geek psychology comes in, to take all of these, academic, esoteric concepts and to break them down in a way that you and I, right, as people who grew up playing Pokemon or Halo, or Call of Duty, or Magic the Gathering, or watch anime, right, or play MMOs like World of Warcraft. Like, it takes all of these things that, have become part of our pop culture, our dictionary, our lexicon, and he's been able to apply it in a way that it's easier to translate to someone. Like, it's easier for me to tell you that your personality type is your character class, right? Or it's your skills that you can fire off, like as if you were, casting Fireball in a game of D&D, right? And that you can build yourself up. It primes the brain to accept a model that is conducive to growth, right? Where we as human beings are not static. We're not stuck. And if you are, that's kind of what you need to focus on, is making yourself unstuck, right? Motion is a part of life, and this concept of improvement is something that's, founded in gains. So I gained the ability to think of concepts in a brand new light. The other things that I've benefited from since being involved with geek psychology, since receiving coaching, is I didn't know what I stood for, or rather, I didn't know that one can really stand for anything. Before, I used to be very much fly by the seat of my pants, go from one shiny object to the other, go from like one idea to the other. And two of the areas that I benefited in were stopping and smelling the roses. It's a terrible cliche, but it's so correct. The problem is, whenever people tell you that, it's so basic of a concept that most people tend to ignore it, right? Like, what does that even mean, stopping and smelling the roses? I'm not in a garden. How does that apply to my real life? In real life, it just means reflection, introspection. Things that I was unopposed to, because prior to this point, I was very, not afraid, I was just generally uncomfortable with the answers that I got back from those moments. So one of my weak points is that level of introspection. So I began to introspect in a way that, was healthy, and it was just nice to have someone to listen to that I could be completely and utterly honest with, and it was better to have a stranger for that. So we took time, and I kind of like poured out, my heart, like all of the positives, negatives, optimistic conclusions, pessimism, and all of the weird thoughts in between, completely unfiltered. And the beautiful thing about Matt is that he wasn't judgmental at all. In fact, the furthest thing from. And that's a really refreshing concept to hear, is to not have that level of judgment be present at all. And I think that's the problem with a standard consultant or counseling or coach, is that they always project this kind of distance, right? They never kind of get down into the muck with you. And I think Matt is very good at doing that. He's very honest, very down to earth. Just another human being, not a person with an office or a clinic or a clipboard or anything. He's just there to listen. And in turn, I learned how to listen to other people on that level too. I learned how to, again, stop and really get people to open up, because I think that's what we all really need. If we're more honest with ourselves about who we are as people, where we are in life, then that gives you a tremendous amount of clarity moving forward. So really what I'm hoping that everyone takes away from this course, this little testimonial, and just being involved with this fantastic community, because I couldn't have asked for a better community to walk into, and we're just trying to build it up from here on, going forwards. But the one thing that I hope you all can take away from this is that you are so much more than you think you are. And the idea of us not fully exploring ourselves as human beings is partially the reason we won't really explore much in life, right? You got to explore yourself in order to have the strength that it takes, or the insight, really, the wisdom, to then be able to turn that around and try to explore the world. So, and through exploration comes knowledge. And as the old saying goes, knowledge is power, right? Power to influence, power over yourself, power to do the things that you want to do. And that's really where this program comes into play, is that it understands that, life is a game, and it's definitely something that you can play, and to that extent play better. So learn the rules, learn your skills, and then go out there and have fun. And that's all thanks to Geek Psychology. So this is Rahul, talking to all of you at home and whoever sees this video. I endorse Matt, I endorse Geek Psychology, and if I hadn't met him, I wouldn't really be here today talking to you guys right now, and I mean that in the fullest sincerity. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Matt. Cheers, and have a good night.